Hey everyone, it's Rachel from Sugar Maple Farmhouse, and today I want to give you some late spring, early summer farmhouse updates. This spring has been an incredibly busy one for us. If you have been following along with us for a while, then you know we put in a pool this spring, and while we are loving that, it really put us behind on some of the other projects we had going on, and there were some projects that popped up unexpectedly from the pool that we didn't really expect. So I thought I would give you just a little update before we get into the summer season. First, let's start with the pool. I did not take a lot of video of the process because we had a company installing it and I didn't want to have to get releases from everybody. I'm not totally sure that I would have needed to do that, but it felt like the right thing to do. But I did try to take some video as we moved along in the process and take some images so I could show you. This is what the yard looked like at the start of the process, and this was the beginning of digging the pool. The pool we bought is a 16 by 38 pool, and it has a 6-foot sun deck. It is a swimmable space of 16 by 32. The only added feature we really put in it was this sun deck, mainly because I wanted it. We have had a really cool spring season here, so we haven't been able to use it as much as I would have liked to, but every day the weather has been decently warm, and when it's in the 70s, we are in the pool using it. And we have all been using it too, which is so great because I knew this was going to be something that was perfect for the kids to have with their friends over, but it's really something that our whole family has appreciated. I knew I was going to love it, but Kevin was a little ambivalent about it, and it turns out he loves it too. The other reason we kept it only 5 feet deep is because we have a very high water table here. One side of our property is wetlands. Our neighbor's property will flood when we got a lot of rain or snow melt off, and I didn't want to be digging that deep into the land that it could somehow be an issue. You might notice that the pool is set up a little higher in the yard, and this was part of the reason that it's set like that too. The pool is also a UV cleaning system. That means the cleaning unit for the pool is mostly via UV light. It does use some chemicals, but it only uses about a third of the chlorine of a regular chlorine pool. For me, that was really important because I just don't like using a lot of chemicals or anything around our home and the farm, so this felt like it was a really good compromise for us. The pool also has an auto cover. In Michigan, it's required to either have an auto cover or a separate fence around the pool. And since we had a fence, we didn't want to get a second fence kind of inside of the fence. So we went with the auto cover, which has been really nice. It helps to keep the heat in the pool. It helps to heat up on a nice sunny day without using the heating system, and it's helped keep the animals like frogs and turtles and anything else from ending up in the water. We just close it up each time we're done using the pool. We have a little button that was installed on the side of the barn that we flip up to open the pool cover, and then we flip it down to close it. This is in real time, so you can see how quickly that happens, and it's really made having a cover on the pool a breeze. Here is a little look at what the whole pool space kind of looks like over here, and this is the shape of the pool. You can get a good look at it now without the auto cover on, and we are just having the best time with it. You can see the sun deck right in there, and that is where I spend most of my time while everybody else is splashing around in the pool. As far as the decor and landscaping goes around the pool, I can tell you it's going to be a slow process. To make the pool, they brought in some really heavy machinery, and we had to take one entire side of our fence down, which we didn't really expect. Now, our fence is an older fence. It's really at the end of its life, not to mention the person who originally put it in for us didn't use treated wood. So we knew this was going to be something we had to replace within the next couple of years, probably next summer. However, when that one side came down, the pieces of the fence became kind of useless. The wood was a little too degraded for us to want to put back up, and some of the posts were damaged too. That led us to rebuilding that side of the fence ourselves, and that was something I didn't expect at all. I don't know what we really thought was going to happen because we knew we would at least have to take a portion of the fence down, and I don't know who we thought was going to put the fence back up. But the weekend the pool was finished, Kevin and I were out there putting the fence back up. So now we have one part of our fence that is cedar weather protected wood. We might try to do an additional section of the fencing later this summer, or we might try to wait until next summer to do the whole thing. It was just really a process for us, and I don't think either of us are excited about having to do the rest of our fence line too. The landscaping around the pool is also something that's going to have to wait, or we might not even put in very much at all around that space. I did put 2 crabapple trees about 25 feet behind the pool because they were on sale, and I added some planters to the concrete space that I already had. And I knew I wanted some seating around the pool, but I didn't really want to spend a lot more money after all of this, so I went on Facebook Marketplace and I found some beautiful wrought iron lounging chairs on there, and I love them. Wrought iron is expensive and it has to be repainted every so often, but it's something that really, really lasts. And I think they look perfect for the pool. They're just beautiful and charming, and I really think that they help to make this space. I'm still looking for some umbrellas for this space, and I'm still in the process of washing some of the patio cushions for the other chairs that are out there because there are a lot of them and they were in kind of the little playhouse that is sitting in another part of the yard right now. The space between the pool and the fence will eventually be filled in with landscape fabric and then rocks so that it doesn't become a nightmare for us mowing. In front of the pool, between the patio and the pool deck, we'll need to do some landscaping too, or at least do some work to the space. I'm not exactly sure what we want to do there yet. I'm going back and forth trying to decide what we really want to put in there. Again, I don't want to have to mow this space, but there was so much sand that was brought in for the pool that I think it'll also create a growing problem for us going forward with grass or anything else like that. Depending on how the rest of the season goes, this might be something we finish, or it might be again something that we put off until next year. On our patio itself, I ended up repainting our patio furniture because it was rusting. In fact, I still have some paint in my hair and on my arms because it's an oil-based paint. Our sets are from Home Depot in 2020, and the tables, as well as some of the chairs, were already developing some rust on them. They're aluminum and they really just didn't last as long as I hoped that they would. And I happened to find a bunch of spray paint cans in the garage that were full, so I went and decided to use that. I did paint them white because that is what I found, and I really think it works on our patio too. Also, it took a lot more paint than what I found in the garage. I had actually found about 15 to 20 cans, but it probably took about 25 cans per set to really get kind of the look that I wanted. So I went in and I bought bigger containers of paint at one point and was putting those on with a spray or two, and then I brushed some of it on. It really was a process. And I will tell you that as much as I enjoy working with my hands and cooking and gardening and crafting, I do not enjoy redoing furniture. So I'm thrilled that part of the project is done, and that if I need to do anything in the future, I have the color, I know what color it is, so I can just go in and retouch everything. I will try to show you the pool and patio space later this summer when some of the other projects that I have planned are in place. There are some other kind of fun things I want to do out there, and I think that it could be fun for you to watch those projects too. Besides the backyard fence that we had to take down, we also had to take down a portion of our fence for our chickens. Now, our chickens don't usually fully free range because we have a lot of predators here. However, they do have a really large run that has plenty of room for them. And we used to have a rooster who was pretty mean, so it was kind of another deterrent in letting them free range. Now they have been free ranging for a couple of weeks as the pool construction has been finished and Kevin is working on putting their run space back in place again. We are going to make this space a little smaller now because we only have 11 chickens now, which is a number that I personally really like having. I think it's the perfect number for our family. And there is another slight issue that popped up from the pool construction. So when the dirt for the pool dig was moved out, we had them put it over by this kind of ditch area that we have on our property, thinking that we could fill it in. We had a space of standing water when we first moved in here, and we did a lot of work on our land to kind of reshape that space so that the water would flow away from that spot and towards the wetlands that border our property. But due to the size of the machinery that we had in here for the pool and the weight, the soil was compressed so much that filling in that ditch space actually caused us to have a lot of standing water in that one particular spot again. Kevin and I decided that eventually we will make that space into a pond, but currently we use that space as a loop around for dropping off things from the garden and different supplies. If we were to add the pond as is, we would currently not be able to use the loop around because the pond would be in the middle of our road. So we decided to shrink the chicken run space by about 10 feet. That'll allow us to move our road kind of past that pond space and allow us to still have a loop around that area. We figured that since we only have 11 chickens now, that new, slightly smaller space will be fine for them, and we can always let them free range now too, since we don't have a mean rooster anymore. Also, I wanted to update you guys on the garden space. You knew that I've been working on that big concrete garden bed, and I did finish that and I really love it. We were able to utilize some of the dirt from the pool dig to fill up the bed. Then I topped it with boxes and added compost. Here is a little bit of a closer look at that process. Because the box is so big, I did have to get into it to work the dirt into all the corners. Also, since we were taking this dirt from the dirt that came from our pool dig, I did have to go through it and pull out just various clumps of grass and other things like that that happened to come up with the soil when we dug the pool. Kevin took the soil from the hill where the pool company left it and then tractored it back to the garden. Luckily, we had the tractor, and this whole process of filling the garden bed only took about an hour and a half. I was hoping that this would be more of a medicinal, beauty, kind of tea garden herb bed, but with all the work that came from the pool and the projects surrounding that, I just didn't feel like I was versed enough in order to add some of the plants that I was hoping to have in there. Instead, I decided to add some of my familiar favorites, so thyme, oregano, tarragon, rosemary. I have some marigolds, I have lavender, I added basil to the corners, and then I added in some flowers as well. As the space fills in later this summer, I'll show you it again so you can see what it looks like, and I'm sure I'll continue to add plants this summer as we go. Also, we have passed early spring, but I wanted to show you guys some of the fruits of my labor from the early planting that I did that I shared with you back probably in early April and show you what came out of that. So first of all, I always have chives growing in the garden. I let them grow wild, which can get a little out of control, but I love having them right at my fingertips and having an abundance of them. These taste exactly like chives, so I will use them on chicken. I put them on potato salad. I also make some chive blossom vinegar with them, and it is delicious. I was also able to harvest plenty of arugula and spinach before we got a couple hot temperatures this last week and things started bolting, and we've really enjoyed having those in a daily salad. The last of our vegetables that have been ready are the radishes, and I've picked almost all of them at this point. I've been really loving them just roasted. I have a great recipe for roasted buttered radishes on the website, and I will leave a link to that in the description below for you, along with that chive blossom vinegar. In the meantime, I did get most of our garden in, and I added some pavers to the front portion of our garden. I'm going to begin building the concrete garden beds around the front garden boxes this summer, and I have already started with some extra bricks that we had from the concrete bed. This will really be a slow process, so I will be working on it the rest of the summer, and hopefully by the end of the summer I'll have some good progress to show you on it. This season with the garden is really a season of transition, and it's really about taking it from a space that we originally made and we thought would work great and enhancing that so that as we get older, it's just easier and easier for us to use, and there's not so much work to be done outside of the beds, and we can just enjoy it as our little oasis. So that is it for the farmhouse updates for the late spring and early summer. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Also, if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, I would love it if you come on over and subscribe. I love cooking, gardening, DIY, and then we do these farm updates too. So I would love to have you here. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you again so much for watching.